not scanner, right?
Okay, here we go. Third and final tape for Dale Sanders' presentation.
Okay, so scanning a postcard, we're changing this to reflective, 24-bit color because it is a color image. For demonstration purposes, I'll probably just do 600, and we hit preview. And when we're doing reflective, we have to make sure that this top insert is in the scanner. It has a white background because when you're doing transparencies, you've got a lamp in the lid that shines through versus the reflective where the light's coming from below. Initial key around this. Looks like Camas Prairie.
It is.
All right, so I've got marquee set. Go to the histogram. I'm going to play around with this just to see what looks about right. Grab the highlight. It might be a little too contrasty, so I'm going to leave the highlight kind of hanging out here. Exposure looks pretty good, so I'm not even going to mess with the midtones on that. Close that, hit scan. And it's the head of Black White Canyon. I'm shot there. It didn't look like that. Okay, that is here. No, I want to open that Photoshop. So please, again, pardon my fumbling with PC. All right, now we're gonna zoom in on this to see the dots. And if we go to filter, blur, blur more. And you can see it effect, and I'll do 2, 3, 4, 5. Got rid of most of them. I'm gonna do one more just to be sure. And then you can go back into sharpen, unsharp mask, and go to my standby 2, 2, and 2. So we've gotten rid of most, if not all, of the individual dots. And now you've got something that could be reproduced in another publication without creating more a pattern.
But you still won't be able to figure out the locomotive.
This is Kent's example of using the CSI on TV where they zoom in on some video
Yeah,
footage
yeah,
and
yeah.
are able to read the license plate clearly. No.
Although, you could tell, even from the original, that the caboose is one of those 1880s Northern Pacific
Oh, it's got
cabooses that had the curly
the
Q on the cupola.
Funky cupola on it, yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the original way this picture was taken?
Probably on a glass plate negative, and then it was hand colorized.
Yeah.
This is a black and white photo, obviously.
And the dots are the result of the printing process.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this one is particularly fuzzy. This, I'm not saying it is, but this could almost be a painting.
Well,
I'm not saying it is.
I think,
The shadows are pretty uniform, which doesn't usually mean painting, but I'm
If they
just.
did color restoration, they basically were painting. So
Well, that's
why
true.
is it like that?
That's true. Yeah, the ties are too straight.
Well, if you look at
right,
these
too radial.
trees up here, those are painted. Those are not photographic trees.
Right.
So it's kind of it's a hybrid image. It's been photoshopped using the techniques they had of the day.
In the day.
Right.
But is it art?
Yeah, it's art. It's a photo illustration.
So when you're done, you're saving TIFFs
Correct.
out of this, out of your process. You use particular file names to differentiate.
Yes.
Or do you literally have like a folder for where you keep your masters and a folder where you keep your altereds?
I keep my images filed by photographer and or source. So like when I scanned Walt Ainsworth's black and whites and his color too, my file name is the photographer's last name, Ainsworth, the railroad, NP, then a random number starting at 001. So the next scan I do is Ainsworth NP 002, next one, so on and so forth. Then in either metadata or in an Excel file, I have information related to that file name, date, location, photographer if known, train number, anything that I can gather is in either the metadata or, again, I'm old school. I actually print out an 8.5 by 11 hard copy of every scan, and I've got the information written there. Because when I lay out a book, I go to the dining room table and I start moving these things around. I don't want to do it on a computer screen. I want to be able to physically move stuff around. So I've got a number of ways that I record the information. But every file name has that R behind it to let me know that it's a raw scan. And anything that's manipulated, ready for print, has got a different file name.
So on this one, for the raw scan, for PNRA archival purpose, we would, you scan this at 600, but if you were doing it for archival purposes, what would you do for the density?
For
For like 600 DPI or for a postcard for an archival, our raw
well,
scan.
I play around with it and
Okay.
see and figure out what the ultimate destination of it is. Because it doesn't have a whole lot of resolution to it
Yeah.
to begin with,
Yeah.
there's no point in adding a bunch more
right,
pixels.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
increases the file size and doesn't gain you anything. So I don't know that you'd have to go more than
600.
600.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
Yeah.
With things that have a
Yeah.
pretty, and
Yeah.
different kinds of publications use different sizes of dots.
Yes.
Newspapers are the biggest
Right,
typically.
usually 85 line screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Our print production is 300. And not too many people go beyond 300.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this, if you go up here to view in Photoshop, you've got all these various things that you can look at the image. So you can go print size, which is the physical size of the scan itself. And then actual pixels gets you to that 100%. If you look down here, right there,
Yeah.
that's 100%. So if you look at it at 100% and you think, well, gee, I could add more resolution, I might be able to see deeper in there. But obviously,
No.
you're not going to be able to pick out a locomotive number off of there. So there's no point in going any higher.
Yeah,
You're just wasting
yeah. As
space.
opposed to a true RPPC
That's right.
where you
That's
really,
a different
really,
ball.
yeah. Another example, black and white RPPC that we had in the Ellensburg Yard in about 1905 or so. And I zeroed in on some, a couple of gondolas that were basically flat cars with stakes on the side, and they were all heaped up, and zoomed in on it. And then I realized that the caboose was one of the few pictures we've ever seen of an actual Northern Pacific four-wheel bobber.
Wow.
And you wouldn't have seen it on, wouldn't have been able to tell on a dot print
Right,
thing, but on a real picture, it was something else.
right. And
That's you.
It's a good possibility, it is, yeah.
Fat boiler, yeah, yeah. Do you get bulb in 10,000?
Any other questions? Photoshop related, scanning related?
Okay, grab
Precious commodity and put it back in its reserve.
Any other questions for Dale?
Maybe, but safe much later.
Yeah, yeah.
Dale, which of those Nikon scanners do you use for slides?
I have a 9000, which is a medium format to 35 millimeter scanner. That's my go-to, but it's about that long, that tall. I do take it on road trips with me, but it's a little bit more cumbersome. And then I've also got a 5000. Oh, I just messed up your video.
Yeah, the camera just moved. Dean, you might want to check it.
This is the 5000, 35 millimeter only. It does a pretty good job. It's better resolution than the Epson when you're scanning 35 millimeter. It's a little bit, well, what's the word I want to use? The 9000 gives a smoother scan than the 5000 does. Either one does great for 35 millimeter though.
That's an interesting shape for a scanner.
It is, but this, you feed these in one at a time.
Wow, it's really designed for 35
There
millimeter
is a
slides.
stack loader that fits on the front of here, but I've got one, I've never used it, because when you're scanning color, your settings for each slide is going to differ.
Right.
Even shots sequentially in the same roll of film, you don't want to set a universal setting for all the images because they're going to be different. The 9000, you can put 5 images in at a time, and you set individual settings for each image. You hit scan, and then you can walk away and do something for 20 minutes while it's churning through.
Which kind is that?
This is a Nikon.
A Nikon.
What's the approximate
This is the
price,
5000.
price points on either one of those?
I'm sorry?
Price point on the 9000 and 5000?
Brand new, when Nikon was still making them, the 9000 was about $2,500. This was right around 1,000. These are both out of production. Nikon doesn't make scanners anymore. You can still get them on the aftermarket. There you run the risk of, does it really work the way it was supposed to, because you don't know. When Nikon first got out of the market, I bought a brand new 9000, and I've got it sitting in a box unopened. It's been there for 7 or 8 years now. So when my first one dies, I got that one to go back to. And I was watching eBay, and I saw a 9000 go for almost $10,000. And I'm just going, wow. But now, the guy I work for, he's got a ultra high resolution Nikon camera that Nikon makes a slide duplicating adapter for. And he's experimenting with slide duplicating digitally. And it's remarkably good, remarkably close to what a film scanner will do. And that would speed up the process immensely. You just put in a slide, you take the picture, you put in another slide, you take the picture. Good quality and quick.
To see if Canon's got some.
They might. They might.
Wow, that's interesting what you just said though. So you don't have a lot of things you can adjust with the slide duplicating way, right? You have to do a lot, well, not do a lot more, but just rely on its brains. I
Well,
guess.
the way digital cameras work, you've got a raw file and then you've got an output file.
Yeah,
The raw file records more information than what you're going to see like on a JPEG or
Yeah.
anything else.
right.
That raw file has got the dynamic range that one of these does. So if you've got the software that can read that raw file, you're golden. It's only a matter of time before these things become completely obsolete. In the meantime, they still are the standard, but standards in electronics changes pretty quick.
Yeah.
But we're dealing primarily with older material where these are still going to be the tools we use for quite some time to come. at least in terms of dealing with prints and negatives of all these weird sizes and documents of all weird sizes. We still have to have some way to digitize them.
Okay, I'd like to thank Dale a whole ton for coming on down.
Splendid, sir. Lots of